Good morning, sausages. Stinging nettles. They're bloody annoying. They sting you, but there's a lot more to them than you might think. Now, first of all, can you eat them? Absolutely. You can eat the leaves, probably not the stems, they're a bit tough. I don't know about the roots. I never really looked into that. You can definitely eat the leaves. Now, if your name's Hugh Fernie Whittingstall, you can make gnocchi with them, or you can make soup, you can make beer. I know people that make cordial. I know people that make wine from them. I expect you could make surfboards and airships and dildos and hairnets and roller skates and condoms. Underpants for bishops. But as far as I know, it's mainly things like soup. But the stems of nettles are extremely strong, and you can weave them into cords, and you can make things like, they used to make nets from them. Even Loki, the Norse god of mischief, had a nettle net, a net made from nettles. In fact, anything that we use hemp for, apart from trying to get high, is what we used to use nettles for.
In fact, during World War I, when materials were scarce, they even made some of the army uniforms from nettles, which is where we get the phrase full nettle jacket.
Do they have any medicinal uses? Absolutely. First of all, they're full of vitamins. They can also be used as a diuretic. They're supposed to be good for kidney infections. I've heard people using them for arthritis. Also, you can sting yourself. Now, one reason you could do that, if you have back pain, for example, apparently it's very effective at controlling the pain. Also, some say you can sting yourself and sting yourself again to build an antihistamine response. Now, I'm a bit cautious about this, but some people have a very bad reaction. I've got a friend, for example, who one nettle sting will make a huge welt on their arm. So it's for those sorts of people, it's not such a good idea. I mean, the Romans, for God's sake, used to warm themselves up with stinging nettles. I mean, if I was standing in the rain in the 2nd century in Northumberland in a skirt and sandals, I'd do anything to take my mind off it. But what about myth and folklore? Well, we've already talked about Loki. Also, in the past, people who didn't really understand pain, they're walking along, I'm suddenly in pain. Why am I suddenly in pain? Because they didn't know what that meant. They thought there was something called flying venom, which was actually elf arrows, like little Orlando blooms running around the place, filling the sky with lots of arrows. And these were basically causing you pain. But apparently, nettles could stop this. Presumably by causing you a different kind of pain to take your mind off the elf arrows. Nettles are also associated with fertility and love. But if you're thinking about having a little of alfresco noodling, in the nettles is not the place to do it. I'm beginning to wonder if there are any plants that are in some way associated with sex. It's either fertility or rebirth or, new growth. It's basically, look, there's a plant, I'm a druid, let's have a shag. So should you go out and pick some nettles right now? No, I'll tell you why not, because the nettles are currently in seed. You don't want to pick nettles when they're in seed or in flower because they can become a fairly pokey laxative. Also, nettle seeds are supposed to be a stimulant. Now, I'm sure it comes as no surprise to you that I have, of course, experimented with this and eaten quite a large quantity of nettle seeds with actually no effect at all. So it hasn't affected me at all. I know some people say that it really, really picks them up. I wonder if it's a sort of placebo psychosomatic effect. Anyway, on that stimulating note, have a wonderful day.